Hey everyone, and welcome to the Introduction to Mobile Affiliate Advertising webinar. My name is Ryan Gray, and I'm the CEO and founder here at RevMax.com. Glad to have everyone on, and I'm really look forward to presenting this information to you. I want to remind everyone, if you have a question, to please enter it in the box. And then what I'll do is I'm going to get to those towards the end, just so I'm not going back and forth with questions. So we're going to save some time at the end for questions. But as I cover material, if you have a question, just please ask it in the box, and then I'll get to it towards the end. And that way we get things done in an orderly fashion. Okay, so to get started tonight, let me just give a brief background of myself. I know we have a lot of new people on the webinar here. So I've been working online since 1998. To date, I've founded about 7 different online businesses. Sometimes it's even hard to keep up with the exact number, but the last I counted, I believe it is 7. I'm a pretty active blogger. I do a lot of public speaking around the internet, different internet conferences about mobile affiliate marketing, about web hosting, and a lot of other topics. I'm a husband. I got married this last year. Got a wonderful wife named Jennifer, and we have 2 beautiful children with another one on the way. So really kind of dug into my family life and really enjoy outside of work spending time with them. So that's a little bit about me, and you can feel free to look me up on Twitter or Facebook or LinkedIn and add me. And I'm pretty active on the social channels, and I try to connect with everyone that works with us here at RevMax, just so we kind of get to stay in touch and everything. Okay, so before we get started, I do have to give a really brief disclaimer here. You're not going to get rich overnight watching this webinar. This is stuff that's these skills are used and put in action. You can make a lot of money, but then again, this one webinar is not going to get you rich. This presentation is an example of how affiliate offers can be promoted with affiliate traffic. It's by no means the only way. This is an introduction of how they can be promoted successfully. So you should take this all into consideration, and when you're developing your campaigns, feel free to get creative. You know, everything I say doesn't have to be the exact way, and that's the great thing about affiliate marketing in general, is you get to be creative. I always recommending consulting to your legal counsel or to your traffic source before starting a campaign. Make sure you follow the rules and regulations. If you have a company, it's always good to discuss with your corporate lawyer, you know, what your company does, so they can make sure that you have the right stuff to protect you. With all that said, RevMax Marketing Incorporated or myself can assume responsibility for your actions. This presentation is just for your information, and once again, we can't be held for those that do bad. Anyways, that's out of the way. Let's cover what we're going to discuss in this webinar. All right, so we're going to try to cover as much of this. We're going to cover all of this, and we're going to try to do it within the next hour. Now, a lot of this stuff, we could go on for an hour about each one of these topics. So I've condensed this down to a version that should work for everyone. So we're going to try to stick to that hour time slot. I know everyone is busy, just as I am. So we're going to start by talking about mobile versus web affiliate advertising. What's the difference? Because there is a big difference. And too often I see affiliates, they just assume that mobile is going to be the same as the web, and they go with the web mindset. Things are a lot different. And then when the results are a lot different, then a lot of them get frustrated, and some of them may give up, or it may take them some time to learn what's different. So we're going to discuss this difference and about the offers specifically that we're going to be promoting. We're going to talk about the different traffic channels in mobile. There's several different places that you can buy traffic and generate traffic for mobile offers. So we're going to cover the most popular ones. And now, of course, there's other ones. There's new traffic channels that pop up every day. It seems like an ad network comes about every week. A new one comes up, and they've got an interesting new creative or channel. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about when you can direct link to an offer. This is a big one for a lot of mobile affiliates versus web. A lot of web affiliate marketing, you really have to take the time to build out Prelanders, where in mobile you can direct link in certain instances. So that's going to really be the meat and potatoes of this webinar, is, you know, when you can direct link, when you have to build a Prelander, and why stuff doesn't convert when you direct link versus not, and you know, where you use that Prelander. And we're going to talk about why traffic doesn't convert. It's probably one of the most asked questions behind, can I direct link or use a Prelander, and why isn't it converting? And so I'm going to tell you why, the most common reasons why stuff doesn't convert, and you can make notes tonight. And you can have this. So when you're looking at a campaign that's not working, you say, well, does it fall into one of these categories? Because most of the time it's going to, and then you can kind of develop around it. And finally, I'm going to mention some affiliate-friendly traffic sources. Some traffic sources that I like to work with affiliates and that you can get started working on this evening right after the webinar is over. So let's go ahead and jump right on in. Okay, so most web affiliate offers, they convert after a credit card trial or a successful sale or a lead generated. It pretty much goes into one of those categories for the majority of offers that are out there nowadays. Mobile offers, on the other hand, a lot of them, especially in the affiliate realm, they convert after successful carrier billing or application install. So after the user goes through and becomes a successful subscription or purchases a piece of content, that's when the pixel fires. Or when they install an application and run that app for the first time, then the pixel fires. So it's different in the web in that aspect. While you still can promote offers, mobile credit card offers on mobile, that's not really what we're going to be talking about tonight, because basically all that is just scaling down the screen and formatting your page correct so someone can enter their credit card. We're going to talk tonight about mobile offers that are specifically just for mobile traffic and how they convert and how it is different. Now, when you're advertising on a desktop or laptop computer, most landing pages are all viewed the same. So web traffic, you can see a landing page. Whether I'm on my laptop or if I'm on my desktop computer, the landing page displays pretty much the same. Well, on a mobile device, landing pages are going to be all over the place because depending on the device, it's going to format differently. So I think that's one of the biggest differences when you're adapting to mobile affiliate marketing outside of web, is that things just show up differently. Whether it's an iPhone or an Android or a feature phone, things display differently. If it has a fast connection, if the device is on Wi-Fi, or if the device is using a faster operator, it's going to load the images faster, it's going to load the JavaScript faster. So all these things we have to take into consideration when with web, we're really just on our computers. We're on our desktop or laptop, and everything's going to load the same because we're most likely behind a high-speed provider. And that's just not the case with mobile. So we see things convert much differently on a mobile device versus a desktop. Okay, we skipped ahead here. Okay, no, let's just jump right into this then. Okay, this is an example of a mobile content billing offer for web. Okay, so or just a traditional web affiliate offer. And this is a client called BenBit. And so those that are already working with us at RevMax, feel free to follow along inside your RevMax interface so you know what offers I'm kind of highlighting, or if you want to make notes, just so you can go back and look for yourself. Or even, like I said, follow along. So this example is for a BenBit web offer in Poland, and this is formatted for desktop computers or web computers, a desktop or laptop. So you can see it's got the nice big graphic here, and then it's got the input for a user's telephone number, and they select their operator, and then they would go through to become the subscription process. So you can see everything formats nicely. Now, on whether I load this page here in the United States or I load this page in Poland on a desktop-based computer on web traffic, it's going to look the same. It doesn't really matter if I'm using a Mac or if I'm using a Windows. It's going to look pretty much the same. It doesn't matter if I'm using Safari or Chrome or Firefox. It's going to show up the same. So for the web affiliate marketer, that's pretty simple. There's not a lot of guesswork in that. It's just when you get into the mobile things differentiate. So let's take a look, and this is that same page pulled up on an emulator. And you can see I've got several different devices here just to kind of get my point across. But for this page, it actually uses Flash Player. And guess what? That's not going to work on mobile. So you see a broken page. It doesn't show up right. It doesn't work. And this is an extreme example, but if the page isn't formatted correctly for mobile, then you're going to really be fighting an uphill battle to get it to convert as an affiliate marketer. So as I said, you can see this uses Flash Player, so it's going to be completely jacked up on mobile. It's not going to work. The page isn't responsive, so the user's going to have to scroll and move around, and without the Flash, you're not going to see it right. And it's just an overall very unpleasant browsing experience. While this was a great looking offer on web traffic, it's not too much so on mobile. So the type of device, it didn't make a huge difference because it was messed up on all of them because it was formatted for web. So when you're an affiliate and you're going to promote the offers, you need to understand that offer has to be, it can't just always, mobile traffic's not the same as web. And when they first came out with smartphones in 2007, when the iPhone first came out, that's pretty much how it was considered. You could go to websites on the iPhone, but you had to still zoom, and it was a hard experience. Well, things have changed a lot in the last 9 years. So where these offers actually format correctly, and that's one of the big things we do at RevMax is we cater to these type of advertisers and these type of offers. Okay, so here's an example of an offer that's been formatted correctly for mobile devices. Now we can see this offer is Bimbit Nigeria, and it's offer 77 in the RevMax system. And you can see across several different devices, it shows up all nice, neat, and formatted. And this is what you're looking for when you're going to promote a mobile offer. You want to make sure it looks good and test it across multiple devices. Now, depending on where that accept is, that's the call to action. So in this case, a user would enter their phone number, they would select their mobile operator, and they would click accept to go through the subscription, and then the conversion pixel would fire. Now, in some cases, they can detect, behind certain operators, they can detect the phone number and carrier, so all the user has to do is click accept and review the subscription, and the conversion pixel fires. So that makes for a very easy conversion process. Now, if for whatever reason, if that accept button or this page shows below the fold, the conversion rate would be a lot lower. With mobile, sometimes people don't know they can scroll, or just they're not going to scroll. So you always want to make sure when you're planning an offer out to run that you make sure that you put your calls to actions above the fold, and make sure that a user doesn't have to scroll to do that, because that will greatly affect your conversion rate. Okay, so of course that was an example of a much better experience. That type of offer is going to work for mobile. It's not like that web offer that's not going to work. As I mentioned, many international mobile operators, they've integrated directly with payment and content providers where the phone number can automatically be detected. We don't see a lot of this in the United States. We see a lot of this internationally, about the mobile operators being integrated with payment providers. And it's a tremendous multi-billion-dollar industry, mobile payment solutions. And you can get on LinkedIn or Google and start looking up these companies. They're huge internationally, that are working with mobile content providers to offer types of mobile content for people's devices, and they're able to integrate with that, so the user can get this content without whipping out a credit card, without having to complete a successful purchase with their card or other means. They can do it right on their phone bill. I really think I know we're in the infancy stages of mobile carrier billing, and where all that's going to head in the next 10 years or so. I don't think this is possible, but we're still not really too far off from seeing people to go into stores and make a purchase in a store and have it billed to their cell phone. I really don't believe that that's too far off to becoming a normality, especially internationally, where that's so big. Will it happen in the United States? Well, we'll just kind of have to wait and see. But where these companies are able to identify the MSISDN, identify the phone number, and allow this click flow, it eliminates the need for the user to have to enter their number or to do these steps. And of course, when you're an affiliate marketer, the more steps to a successful conversion, the harder it is to get a conversion. So the lower the conversion rate goes, the more steps. So being integrated with payment providers and mobile content billing is really a great thing for us affiliates. It helps us get through the subscription process a lot quicker. Okay, let's keep on going here. Here's an example of a different conversion flow for mobile versus web. And this here is an offer, again, in RevMax, and it's offer ID 240, FunClicks Ireland. And so you can see this is an example of a banner. And it shows here if the user is on a mobile phone, they're going to be redirected to the offer landing page, where they would need to enter their mobile number, click continue, and then they would have to either text this, they'd text fund to this short code here, or they would click here and it'll automatically populate the text field where they can click submit and send the billing text. That's called MO flow, or mobile originated flow. The billing subscription is coming in from the mobile device. Now if we look down here, when it detects it's on a desktop or laptop web traffic, you can see the user will have to enter their phone number. The page responds correctly, and then it says, well, you have to text fun to the shortcode. There's no click to SMS flow, click to SMS Mo flow. It's just a regular Mo flow, mobile originated flow, to where they have to actually pull their cell phone out, enter the information, and send it to become a successful conversion. So obviously here, when we're looking at this flow, a desktop or laptop is going to convert worse than a mobile device, because again, the more steps you add, the harder an offer comes to convert. So if you can just sit here, enter your number, continue, then click to send the text, it's going to convert a lot higher than had you have to enter your number and then pull out your phone and actually initiate the billing text manually. Okay, so now that we have an idea of how these offers are different and why it is important that we differentiate between web and mobile affiliate marketing, it's important we become familiar with the different types of traffic channels you can buy mobile on. So I'm going to go through each one of these individually and talk about them and talk about their benefits and talk about why they're important in mobile and which ones are easier for the affiliate and which ones are harder for the affiliate. So we'll start with kind of the top of the most common, and that's display advertising, and then we'll just go on right on down the list here. Okay, a display banner. This is the most common type of internet advertising since the beginning days of the internet. And you can see I've got an example on CNN.com, and this is a web ad. And this is what most of everyone is familiar with already. They're familiar with seeing these banners placed around the internet. And you can see it's clearly an advertisement. They even mark it with an advertisement tag. But this is display advertising. You're buying banners, they're placed throughout the web on different websites. People click through and then they go to your offer. On mobile, it looks like this. An example on a website where it's sometimes above the fold, sometimes this scrolls down as the user scrolls, sometimes it's placed below the fold. But this is a display ad. Now, display, they have the highest quality, historically speaking. The reason being is the user knows it's an ad. You know, when you're going to, in the example of Yahoo here, you see an ad, and so you know when you're reading Yahoo, that ad catches your attention, and then you tap it or click it, and you've expressed interest in whatever that ad is. So since you already have interest, that means you're engaged in the campaign. So you're actually interested in it. So when you're clicking into it, you're doing it for a reason. And same here on the web, as we're familiar with that. If we see an ad on a website, and ads aren't really cool, but if we see one and we think enough of it to click on it, our engagement level is completely different than many of the traffic channels. Now, this is really important with mobile, because with mobile, you could be doing a number of different things. You could be reading sports, you could be reading the news or checking the weather. You know, it depends on what your engagement level is if you're going to actually take the time to go through and become a successful conversion. With desktop, we see a much higher user engagement level, because most of the time if you're sitting on your laptop or your desktop computer, you've got a keyboard and mouse, and you've got time. You're most likely sitting down using that device, and so you've got time to actually fill out an offer. Whereas on your phone, you might be standing in line somewhere. You might be on an airport or just sitting there hanging out. Gosh, people, the other day I was behind someone in traffic, and they were on their phone and missed the whole red light. They sat through a whole red light change because they were pecking on their mobile phone. So their engagement level is completely different. If I was advertising to that person and they're in traffic, they're obviously not going to convert. So that engagement level has a big thing to do with the way mobile offers convert. But display, most of the time, has a higher engagement level because they know it's an ad, they click on it, they express the interest. Social, we have to mention social because it's a tremendous channel, and it's especially since the creation of Facebook and Twitter and these social networks, people scroll them nonstop. Every day when I'm out, I always just kind of look around at the people. It just amazes me, the people of all ages that are scrolling their Facebook feed. So when you're going to grab their attention as a marketer, and they could be anywhere doing anything. Social is really cool because we have tons of variables to be able to target. You know, we know when we're buying an ad on social, the age range or the age of the user. We know where they are living in a geographic region. We can even target on Facebook if they're on vacation. So you can make really good decisions when creating campaigns on social because you have a lot of data about it. Now, since the user, much like display, they have to click this ad. The ad's not going to just show up on your Facebook feed. The ad might show up, but your whole landing page is not going to show up like with pop or redirect traffic, which we'll get to in a second. So they actually have to click through to it. So again, your ad has to express their interest, their mindset changes to whatever you're advertising, and then they're sent into your landing page or into the offer and to begin the conversion funnel. So almost always you're going to see a higher engagement level and higher quality on both display and social traffic, and that's just because the user, they see the ad, they recognize it as an ad, and they click through, and so you've got their engagement level. Whereas the other sources we're going to talk about, their engagement level isn't quite there, and we'll explain why and what you can do to kind of help combat that problem. Redirect traffic. This is much more common in mobile, and it's been around for web advertising for quite some time. So this can come from many places. It can come from type-in domain traffic. Way back when, in the beginning days of the internet, what a lot of domainers would do is they would register misspellings of domains. So they would take misspellings of popular domains such as Facebook or Google, and they would register their domain. So when someone accidentally typed in the wrong domain, they would be sent to a redirect network, a traffic network that sells these, and whoever bids on that keyword, that ad will be shown. So if the user is expecting one site and they're shown another an ad, they're not engaged. So you have to kind of capture their attention. And I think DNTX, which is now called Tonic, they use an example of bodybuilding. So if you go to, I think it's bodybuilding.info, you'll see an example of their advertisement that directs you to bodybuilding.com. So someone that was typing in bodybuilding.info, they're engaged in wanting to look up information about bodybuilding. So an advertiser such as bodybuilding.com would bid on that .info domain, and then that user engagement would kind of match up. So whenever you're setting up redirect campaigns, if you're doing the type-in misspellings and stuff like that, it's important to realize, what's the user trying to see? Because when they see your ad and your ad comes up, it's not going to make a whole lot of sense to them because they saw an ad instead of what they're looking for. So you have to make sure that they're engaged. Redirect traffic can also come from failover. There's many networks out there. Redirect.com is one, as well as Tonic, that basically gives advertisers and affiliates links that for traffic they can't do anything else with. They can sell it to redirect.com and they will try to monetize it. So maybe it's not even type-in traffic. Maybe it's traffic to something that an offer that they can't convert, or some type of traffic that just doesn't work for them that otherwise would go unsold or be junk, and that's redirect traffic. So because of all this, because it can be misspellings, because it could be just failover traffic that someone else can't monetize, it's going to be a lower quality. It's going to be a lower user engagement. The good thing about this type of traffic is it's dirt cheap. It's really cheap for affiliate marketers, and especially when you're trying to reach a big audience on mobile, is you can buy a lot of this stuff for not a lot, for pennies on the dollar, for pennies on the impression, and then you can take that traffic and get it to convert. And we'll talk about how you do that here as we cover the initial ad. Okay, so the initial advertisement can be shown between a website. So a lot of times this can be considered like a pop over sometimes. When you go to a website, it kind of overlays it. So it's also called an overlay. And these can have many different names, but this is kind of what it looks like. Now, recently, Google, this is just this last week, they just recently announced that sites that show these type of ads that make it hard to get to the content, Google's actually going to start ranking them lower in the search engine results because they want to focus theirs on quality. So these sites that are ranking for certain keywords, and when people load them up and they have a big ad on top of them that makes it hard and a bad browsing experience, those are going to actually start getting penalized. So if you're a publisher, you might kind of want to be on the lookout for that, because coming 2017, you're going to start ranking lower. So there is, they do have on their site a different format for these, but for right now, this is what they look like. And you can see my example here with Clash of Clans. Maybe you're in an app playing a game, and Clash of Clans overlays over the top of the leaderboard or something, and that's someone advertising that banner or that game, and it could be an affiliate or it could be Clash of Clans directly. The cool thing about these type of ads is that since they're popping over, the engagement level is much higher because someone's going to click on that, unless it's an accidental click, which happens sometimes with these type of ads. But sometimes these have very high click-through rates, and they do have the engagement because they do come off as an advertisement and someone can click through. I will give an example source that sells these at the end of the webinar. But this is a great way to reach a big audience for fairly cheap too. They're not extremely expensive, especially for how big they are. Okay, pop traffic. This is probably one of the most popular channels of mobile traffic out there, especially nowadays. It's because there is a ton of pop traffic on various websites. A lot of it in mobile especially is pop under traffic, meaning that the website the user is viewing, the ad actually goes underneath of it. So we have to remember, because of this, it's going to go underneath of it. Someone is not going to expect the ad. They might not even see it since it's popping underneath. So they might not see it until after they close out whatever they're looking at or whatever they're doing, and then they see the pop under ad. So with pop unders especially, it's not uncommon to see conversions come in much later than when you actually pop the ad. It's a completely different engagement level. Now, if it's going to pop over, of course, that's going to have a higher engagement level. So it can go either way, but the majority of the way it's sold in mobile is they do pop under. So we'll see a lot of beginning affiliates will buy a lot of pop traffic because it's cheap, and then they'll say, well, why didn't it convert? Well, it's popped under, so they didn't quite see it just yet. They might get to it, but there's some things you can do to increase your conversion rate. Okay, this is a newer ad unit. It's called a push notification. This example here is from AirPush's website, airpush.com. They're kind of the leader in the push notification creative units, and so these have changed a little bit over the last couple of years because some regulations, because they are very intrusive ad format. They have a high user engagement level because these will actually show up in your notification tray. You can see this example is for Taco Bell, and you can see right in the notification tray of the Android is that ad. So when someone gets this ad, it messages them, or it notifies them. So it's got a very high click-through rate because they're expecting this notice. And then when I get to the bottom of it, what is it? iOS apps, these aren't so much where you go buy them now. What we'll see a lot with iOS is people will create their own apps, and then when they're trying to make a push for something, kind of a pun intended, when they're trying to make a promotion happen, they'll send a push notice through their iOS app to get your attention, to get you in whatever that may be. My brother has a very popular iOS application for pro wrestling news in the iOS store, and so he doesn't use this for advertising, but when he has a breaking news story, and this is where you see this a lot in the United States, news outlets will do this as well. So you've downloaded his app for pro wrestling. You're a pro wrestling fan, you like to read the news. Well, when something big happens, he'll send out a push notice that says breaking news notification, click here or tap here, and people will tap it, and then it'll open up the ad and show the content. So a push advertisement is someone has an app on their phone that actually is tied into someone, in this example, using AirPush, and an advertiser's bidding on this, and so they're going to get a push, and then it's going to go into an ad. So you can see that's, it can be a very intrusive ad unit, so you have to be really careful when you run these, and it's important not to be deceptive because you will get a lot of complaints because of this ad unit, and this is why we've seen a lot of changes over the last couple of years with push notices. They can be very good for affiliate marketers, but you kind of have to go about them in a right and compliant way. Okay, so now that we understand what's the difference between a web and a mobile offer, and we understand the most common types of traffic sources, let's answer the big question here, is when you want a direct link to an offer. Again, with mobile traffic, that's the cool thing, is a lot of offers can be direct linked. But really, one of the three things, if not all, have to be met for an offer to be successfully run direct linked. One, the traffic's extremely cheap or free. Now, if you have a pile of mobile traffic, maybe you're working on a rev share deal, or maybe you have a website or property of your own, and the traffic's going to be free no matter what. So then you can run many mobile offers, no problem, direct link, because it's little to no cost to you. This is also the case in some of the more developing countries or countries of a lot of volume without a lot of advertisers. Nigeria is a huge one because there's not a lot of advertisers in Nigeria. Yes, there's mobile content provider advertisers nowadays, but there's not a lot of companies, if, for example, not a lot of web hosting companies in Nigeria running ads, because Nigeria has been a known hot zone for fraudulent transactions. So a lot of order forms will actually remove that country just because, unfortunately, a lot of the traffic that comes there is not going to convert for them. So that's because that'll really drive down the cost of the traffic. Brazil's in our country with so much mobile volume, really there's not enough advertisers in the space to cover it all. So a lot of times you can get clicks and impressions so cheap that you can make a direct link offer work. Same with Thailand. The Middle East, of course, has been a great area to direct link. Okay, so we know traffic's cheap, traffic's free, good place, we can direct link. Now, another thing is the traffic extremely targeted? So if you know for sure that you're going to receive traffic from a certain network operator, and we discussed how sometimes the conversion flow of a mobile content billing offer will be determined by the actual operator that the phone is using. So sometimes you'll have the 1 or 2 click flow, a more aggressive conversion flow, which we'll hit next. So if you know you're hitting that specific operator, that's highly targeted, and then you can just direct link, and it's simple. What we'll see is sometimes merchants will provide good converting IP addresses or IP ranges of that accepted operator. So when you have the lists like that, it's a great time to direct link because you're just lasered right on in. Now, as you all may be aware, or you will be once you start mobile advertising, is the more you start targeting at your traffic source, the lower the volume is, especially when you start targeting by international operators. It's hard to detect that. I know this from a tracking background, is it's hard to detect what network operator that someone's behind. Here in the United States, we have Verizon, we have Sprint, we have T-Mobile, we have AT&T. Those are the big ones. And then we have a couple subsidiaries or couple smaller network providers, but pretty much everyone that you come across is using one of the big ones. Internationally, what we see is there's just still a ton of subsidiaries, so when the device is detected by the ad server, a lot of times acquisitions have happened over the years and the IP is still using an old identifier, and so even though you just say you want traffic from one network operator, they can't always determine that because it is hard. So when you start just saying, I only want traffic in Mexico, I only want traffic from the telcel operator, you're going to notice a lot of times the bid goes completely outrageous, the price gets really high, but then your volume drops because that ad server is only going to serve you when it can tell it's telcel traffic. So there could be, and there is, a lot of subsidiaries of telcel, so you're going to miss out on all that volume. So that's why it's important to track correctly or even have the IP ranges or to know without a doubt that it is highly targeted. And now let's talk about the click flows. Certain network operators, they have a click flow process to where they are integrated directly with that provider, the number is detected, and the user can click through to become a successful conversion. So that's more of an aggressive flow. So when an offer converts like that, then it can be a good opportunity to direct link it. So it's normally got to be one of these 3 things, if not a combination of them, when you go direct linking. Let's take a look, shall we? Or actually, let's go first about the funnel. Then we're going to take a look at this. So when we're direct linking, if it meets one of these, okay, good. Now here's the problem. Every single affiliate, those that are on this webinar, those that are out there, those that are just getting started, they are going to want to do this because that's easy, right? If we can just go to traffic source A, and if we can link offer B, and then C, we make a lot of profit. Everyone in the world does it. Okay, so everyone tries to do that. So when you're doing that, it kind of takes away from things because you have to get a little bit more creative. And so that's what I talk about, actually making a funnel with your direct link campaigns. Once again, because when you add that targeting, you take away the volume. When the international operating target, when the targeting for the international mobile operators is a good guess at best. Sometimes it's better just to buy as much traffic as you can and then use your tracking software to sort it out. And that's why we developed iMobiTrax back in 2012, is because we saw this. We saw, well, if we're going to go to traffic source and we're just going to buy one network operator, we send our bid really high up, and we really can't, really not even sure we're getting all the traffic. So we just wanted to buy it all, and then we create these what we call direct link funnels. So the most simple example of a direct link funnel is like this. You send the mobile traffic to a mobile offer, you send the web traffic to a web offer. So this example is Nigeria. So we go to a source and we say we want it all because we know we're going to get the volume that way. And then we're going to use our tracker to send the mobile traffic to the mobile offer, the web traffic to the web offer, and then we're going to begin optimizing. So since we didn't just target mobile, then our bid's going to be much lower and we're going to have more volume. Traffic sources, they don't like it when people get picky because it's even hard for them to figure that out. They want advertisers and affiliates that are going to come in and just buy all their traffic. That way their publishers make money, they make money on the traffic, and it all kind of works out. So when you're direct linking, it's more than just direct linking. You're wanting to create some type of funnel. So then we say, okay, well, that's good, Ryan. I really didn't even think of that. That's a really creative idea. Well, I want you to take it one step further. As you can see, we want to go even deeper. So instead of just buying all the traffic and then sending traffic to mobile, sending traffic to web, we want to break it down, or we can break it down if it's possible. So we can send the mobile traffic all to mobile offers. It doesn't have to be just this one offer though. We can have 5 or 6 offers. If we're direct linking and we're getting a lot of traffic quickly, especially with pop and redirect, it's going to take a lot of optimization. So maybe we're sending all our mobile traffic to a group of mobile offers, and maybe we even subgroup that into if Wi-Fi, if we can detect that. Some places are easy, some places are hard, but if we can detect that, we're going to send all Wi-Fi to maybe an app install, to an offer that doesn't convert on carrier billing, since we know that when they're behind Wi-Fi, they're going to convert worse on carrier billing because that's not detected. So maybe we send the mobile Wi-Fi to an app install. So there's one. Next, if we know that the mobile offer has a good operator flow, then we can detect that. So we send the mobile, if mobile traffic, if certain operator, we send them to this offer. And then finally, we can target by operating system. Hey, if it's an iOS, then we're going to send it to this type of offer. So really, even though we're direct linking, we're creating a funnel here where we could be promoting 10, 15, even 20 offers. So, if we want to get crazy with this, with all kinds of different layers and levels of targeting. Because what this allows you to do, direct linking, allows you to start to gain a competitive advantage. Because remember, if all the affiliates go to traffic source A and they take offer B and they all try to just direct link it, just put that one link in that traffic source and run it, why doesn't it work? Well, because everyone's trying to do that and it's upping the bids. You have to get a little bit smarter, and that's why you want to go deep with making your funnels. You're developing out where you can take the web traffic, you send it to something. And my example here for web is, maybe you send all your Windows traffic directly to this offer. Well, we know that there's offers like MacKeeper out there for Macs, and it's a very broad offer. So maybe when you go and you buy all this traffic lumped together, you're going to send all your Mac OS stuff to MacKeeper, your Windows traffic to this particular offer, it's displayed, this bin bid offer, and then your mobile traffic is going to go to a mobile offer, and then maybe the Wi-Fi is going to go to an app install, and maybe you're going to target a certain operator. Going about this is a much smarter way to direct link and have success because it gives you all these different areas to where you can optimize. And as you start to see conversions come in from each point of your funnel, you can scale up based on that. And so instead of just direct linking to one offer and then, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. I mean, it's really a gamble, right? But if you get smart and you're developing out a direct link funnel and using your tracking software appropriately and kind of building this out and monitoring the hotspots, then you're going to have much more success. So this is what gives you that competitive advantage, a direct link funnel. So from now on, instead of saying, should I direct link or make a pre-lander, I want you to think, should I make a direct link funnel or should I develop a pre-lander? Okay. Once again, the more traffic you can buy, the cheaper it's going to be. Inside of iMobiTrax, we call this funnel process redirect rules. Okay, we call this a redirect rule. It's a post-click redirect. And our rules simply say, if mobile, send it here. If mobile, if iOS, send it here. If mobile, if certain operators, send it here. So we can go on down the list and we can develop these as much as we need to for our campaigns. Redirect rules are active on all MobiTrax campaigns when you create it inside of there. Okay, so when to use a prelander. So now we've covered the direct link. Now, the prelander. These are a great way for an affiliate or media buyer to get creative and to warm up the traffic. And this will give you a better conversion rate than instead of simply direct linking. If you just direct link straight to an offer and it doesn't work, the first thing I ask is, well, did you try a prelander? Well, if it's not allowed, it's not allowed. But if it's allowed, well, yeah, you should do anything you can to increase your conversion rate or to gain a competitive advantage. Remember, if everyone's going to traffic source A and they're direct linking offer B, there's not much competitive advantage. You add the funnels, there you go. Then you add some prelanders that you actually make, then you have a really big competitive advantage, or start to add more of a competitive advantage. I also want to recommend break pages. And these are kind of like a prelander, but kind of not also. A break page should be used when you're using a high volume traffic source such as pop and redirect to examine a user's engagement level. So if you go to a pop under source and you buy all this traffic and you're just directly to an offer, it doesn't work, well, you need to insert a break page. And I'm going to show you an example of how to do that, because the break page allows you to analyze if the user is engaged. Are they even going to click through to the offer? Because this is why a click isn't always a click. Because pop under traffic, they're not clicking it. It's showing up underneath. It's a view. Yes, your tracker says you got 1,000 clicks. Well, if you're buying pop or redirect traffic, your page got shown 1,000 times. Someone didn't click it. It just showed up. So a break page allows you to kind of segment that, and it allows you to kind of show when a page has been viewed versus clicked, and if someone is actually interested or not in what you're promoting. Prelanders are often used when a conversion flow requires more immediate action from an end user, such as inputting their phone number or confirming a PIN code or sending a billing text. So the more steps that an offer has, Prelander helps it convert better, because you can tell them step 1 you need to do this, step 2 do that, and then you'll get it converting. So it's just to warm up that traffic. We see this for antivirus campaigns, we see this for download campaigns, and we see this for sweepstakes campaigns. It's really 3 main categories that we can break down mobile CPA affiliate marketing and to what type of landing pages are being used and how to make them. So really, when you're making prelanders, you need to make 3 basic shells, and these shells can be interchanged throughout all the different markets. So if you don't know HTML and if you don't know how to make a landing page, you don't need to get too upset about it, because you just need to actually make out your shells, and then you can kind of replace that information and create different campaigns based off of those simple shells. All right, so let's take a look at just a sample offer conversion flow, and so you can kind of get an idea of how a prelander works and where it would go. This particular offer, and once again I list the ID and stuff if you want to follow along with your RevMax.com account. A user will click the banner, and then they're brought to the offer. Now this offer actually has kind of what I call a break page in front of it. Okay, so but you can add your own, and we'll talk about that. But this has kind of a break page because it says, hey, download it now. So you click to download it, and then you get to the call to action where you actually have to input your number, or it might be detected if it's behind an accepted operator. You can see in this example the number has been populated. So you can click here, and then it's going to ask you to send the billing text, a click to SMS or MO flow offer. So this is just a basic offer. Now, if we're going to create a prelander for this, it would look maybe something like this. And I did this in English just because I speak English, and it just makes it easier for you to kind of see. And you can kind of visualize this process. So instant download, step 1, click the download button below. Step 2, continue to your file, because remember the offer actually has another break page. So we'll tell them to continue. 3, confirm your number. Tell them what to do. If it's not in there, confirm it, and then send the confirmation SMS text. You're giving them instructions. So instead of just popping that offer right in front of them or sending them to that offer, you're going to tell them a little bit more. So this is a type of pre-lander. It warms up the traffic. It helps them convert. And depending on the type of campaign, you can get as creative as you want with this. A lot of times for antivirus-based products is we'll use alerts and stuff. Now, and this is something we'll talk to too about compliance, is you want to make sure you're not being deceptive on your prelanders, because they'll do nothing but get you in trouble. But you want to get creative without being deceptive, but you want to be able to add stuff and step-by-step items that are going to help aid the conversion process. That way, when someone gets an offer, like, okay, well, I had interest in this, but now I really don't know what to do, so I'm just going to close out, never to be seen again. And that's the important part about Prelander, is it helps you eliminate that confusion and drive them right through the conversion process. So here's it all put together. You see someone would click a banner if you're buying display traffic. They would hit your Prelander made by you, the affiliate and the media buyer, and then it heads on into the offer after that. So the offer here, this is what you get from RevMax. You get the offer. You make the Prelander. You get the Prelander approved by us at RevMax because we send everything off to our clients to make sure everything complies with their terms of service in their legal department. But once that's approved, then you can launch the campaign. And the good thing is this gives you a layer of split tests, a layer to optimize off of. If you're just direct linking to this offer, you're limited to what this particular advertiser or vendor has. There's nothing else you can really do because you're just direct linking. Using that Prelander allows you to get the creative juices flowing. And then you can see if the people aren't clicking through to this, if they're not clicking through to the offer from your page probably isn't that good. So you want to make multiple Prelanders. You want to split test multiple different angles. That way you can really see what's going to work and what's not. I mentioned this, there's going to be some bad apples that are going to use the Prelander for a chance to be deceptive. And this is something we fight all the time, especially in the mobile industry. All mobile offers, especially content billing ones, they're regulated by telco operators and country regulators. And at RevMax, we are very, very militant about our compliance. We have to make sure that everyone is on the same page. So when you're making a Prelander and you're sending it off to an offer, we make sure that it agrees with everyone. So a lot of bad apples will use this for deception purposes. You don't want to do that because it is a very serious thing. At RevMax, we'll actually, if it's not approved, then we can't agree on the commissions because the whole process was not approved. So I don't want you to confuse Prelander with a chance to try to get sneaky or pull fast ones over, because I've seen everything. That doesn't happen. It's not going to happen with us because we're going to catch them. You use the Prelander to warm the traffic up to aid them through the conversion process. Once again, we can call a Prelander also a break page. Now, as I mentioned, this is specifically for pop-in redirect traffic. Because it comes so hot and heavy so rapidly, it can really help you measure the user's engagement level. So at first, if you're direct linking and it's just not really working, and maybe you've made some funnels and still nothing's working out for you, well, then you want to add a break page. Because a break page is really easy to create, and I'll show you exactly how, because you can just use a display banner on it. And when you can just create that, and then you can see, are they actually clicking that banner or are they not? That's it's very simple, and then you can see if it's actually going to work or if it's not. I had someone that said they lost their audio, but I believe the audio is still working. I just checked it in my earpiece. Hopefully they can get reconnected. Okay, so let's take a look at how we would make a break page here. This example here is an offer inside of RevMax, and it doesn't allow Prelanders. So maybe we're going to use a break page instead of a Prelander to, one, engage, see if the audience is engaged in it. It's also going to break up all that traffic coming in, because again, a click's not a click. So if possible on your break page, maybe you can add a headline, maybe you can't. It's just got to be approved by the vendor. So sometimes, you might want to just use a big bold headline. This works really good for games, because with a game you can put, you have one new challenge, or can you win, or I bet you can't. Bold headlines like that get someone's attention. And then you can show a banner, one of the approved banners. So you can see this example of a break page. I show a headline, then I show the approved banner from inside the RevMax interface. So now we know if someone sees this page, if it's popped under, we can see if they actually are interested in this or not, because either they'll click it or they won't. And so we can monitor this click-through rate right here, and this is going to tell us a lot about the campaign. If this click-through rate from this break page into the offer is low, then we're probably advertising the wrong thing, or we're advertising something to someone that doesn't want it. So, and that's what we'll talk about next when why an offer doesn't convert. If they don't want it, they don't want it. So if you're advertising stuff, the break page is a good way to say, well, are they even interested in it? Do I even have a shot at converting it? When you're getting the pop and redirect traffic, consider adding a break page because it's going to allow you to show you if they're interested or not. Same thing with the prelanders and the break pages. You want to split test this stuff. I mentioned the headline. And again, sometimes a vendor will not allow a headline. This is just an example. We would have to run it by them and ask if that's cool to do that or not. But you could split test this headline to 1 download ready or 3 new challenges if it's a game, or different items to see if you can't help that CTR into the offer. You would want to split test the banner. Maybe use an animated banner, maybe use a static banner. It just all really depends. A good place to host these banners, by the way, is Amazon. AWS, you just Google AWS login and it'll take you right to Amazon. They have a service called S3, and it's very simple. You just sign up for Amazon, you input your billing information, and you go to S3. And S3 allows you to take these banners, upload them onto their cloud, and it's extremely fast. Then it just gives you a link. And you can take that link and use it for your break page, and that way you don't have to worry about building out some tremendously big server to hold these banners and make sure they load quickly, because Amazon S3 is going to do a good job with that. So that's one thing, a little tip I recommend those that are wanting to make break pages and not set up all that stuff. Now, obviously, you're going to have somewhere set up to host your actual page, your HTML, which is just a couple of lines, but it's not going to have to be an extremely big server if it's just loading the actual HTML page with a banner that is on S3. Okay, so now we now know how the offers work. We now know the different types of traffic channels. We now know when we're going to direct link and we're going to use a prelander. But why isn't it converting? What's going on here? Almost every single campaign that I help an affiliate optimize or a media buyer start, and they say, well, it's not converting, I can almost always throw it into one of these categories. The biggest one is poor user engagement. And we talked about that. With pop traffic, a click is not a click. It could be that they're just not interested. And so I'm going to go through each one of these in big detail here, because we need to really get this across. All clicks are not equal, especially with mobile. A click is not a click. A click from a display banner is completely different than when you see a click coming in from pop or redirect. Because it's sold by the cost per 1,000 views, they're not clicking, they're just showing up. So you need to really get that in your head, that when you're buying pop, redirect, or interstitial traffic, that it's not always CPC. It's actually CPM. So when these networks advertise at 0.0001 per click, well, it's not really a click, it's a view. And then so you multiply that by 1,000, and then you can get the actual CPM. So, a lot of times a $10 CPM, well, if you look at it at that, well, it's not as cheap as it may have looked when you price it out per view. But that's important to know, that a lot of times they're not seeing the ad, it's popping under, so that's why it's not working. Another big thing is here, if your ads are not showing up on a site that they're interested in, then you're not going to have a very good conversion rate. So if you're advertising a game, maybe it's a gaming app or a gaming offer, and or a game website, and you're showing a recipe offer, or the vice versa. If you're advertising that on a recipe website or a website that has recipes, then the audience just isn't interested. It's like going to bodybuilding.com and seeing an ad for car tires. I mean, of course, no one. I mean, maybe that someone's interested at some point in time, but someone that's looking for bodybuilding stuff is going to be looking for supplements and exercise programs and stuff like that. They're not going to be looking for car tires or accessories. So the same thing goes in mobile. Well, why doesn't it convert? Well, where are you buying your ads? So I asked that to a lot of people. I'll say, well, what kind of sites is your ads popping under, or where are you placing your banners? And a lot of times they'll say, well, I don't know. It's a blind network. Well, do some homework on the network, because you can there's ways to figure out, even if it is a blind network, you can figure out who some of their publishers are. Gosh, I mean, most ad networks should tell you, what their traffic is. But most of the time, that's one of the biggest reasons why I see these offers don't convert, is because it's just targeted completely wrong. They're not interested. You can look at your click-through rate, and this is why I mentioned the break pages, because if the click-through rate on your break page is no good, then it's just not the right fit for that source. It's not the right combo. Maybe a different country would work out better. So you need to remember that. The CTR will tell you a lot. And this is why I must always suggest when your pop and redirect traffic isn't converting that you want to make you a break page just so you can at least examine that and say, well, is it the interest or is it the offer? You know, is this offer no good, or is my traffic just not interested in the offer? Because that happens all too often. Okay, looking at the poor targeting aspect of it. A lot of times when we see a lot of traffic come into a content billing offer and it doesn't convert well, a lot of times it's Wi-Fi. And some people say, well, I didn't buy Wi-Fi, I tried to eliminate it. Well, again, sometimes that's hard to determine. That's hard to determine, you know, what's carrier traffic and what's not. Some traffic sources, some ad servers do a better job than others. But a lot of times when that offer is not converting, it's because there's a lot of Wi-Fi traffic going to it. And because of this, we've seen on some clients that will create Wi-Fi break pages that will say, we've detected you're using Wi-Fi, turn off your Wi-Fi to continue. That helps. Sometimes then we'll also make a break page that sends them to an app or a different offer altogether with maybe a more Wi-Fi friendly flow. Once again, some mobile operators can convert better than others because they are going to have different conversion flows. Depending on how they're integrated with the payment provider, that determines a lot. You know, so it could be one operator might have a one-click flow offer, and the other operator has a click-to-SMS flow offer, and another operator has a MO flow offer. So depending on the conversion flow in the operator, the offer could convert much differently. So most of the time, I tell people that, hey, you need to really focus on one operator that has the best conversion flow, and that's where you're going to see your highest conversion rate. So but it normally falls into one of these categories, why the offer is not converting. This is the next thing I always ask, and I get a lot of deer in headlights or crickets when I say, well, if you just direct link tested it and it failed, did you make a pre-lander? If it's allowed. And a lot of times people say, well, no, I didn't do that. Well, I thought the offer didn't work. I was just going to test it direct linked, and if it worked, I was going to then build out some pre-landers. Well, sometimes it just doesn't work like that. Sometimes you need to do a pre-lander because the conversion flow is confusing, or you need to explain it to them so you make it. And I often joke with my colleagues and around the office that, you know, give me an offer, give me a traffic source, give me lots of traffic, give me an offer that I know is good, and I'll find a way to get that traffic to convert. I'll sit around and I'll make some type of pre-lander that will convert. I'll come up with some kind of angle that, and this is where the psychology of marketing comes in about how people react to different pre-landers. It might be a headline, it might be a number, it might be something on that page that gets their attention and helps them to convert. And that's the fun part to me about being an affiliate, is you can create all these different types of angles and really enjoy your creative part of your brain. It's because you can make your own creative spin and get it in there, and then you gain substantial advantage over the competition, because if you do it differently than everyone else, well, you know, a lot of times it's very rewarding. And some of the pages that I'll make in the office, they'll convert better because I actually spent some time to understand, you know, what sites are these people coming from. Because that's going to determine my angle. You know, where's the traffic coming from? Once I understand where the traffic's coming from, well, then how's the offer convert? So then I want to appeal to them. During the Olympics this summer, that was a great opportunity for us to make pre-landers based around the Olympics, because we could grab their attention really quick about the Olympics and then throw them down our conversion flow, and maybe it's a survey about the Olympics, and then it goes into the offer. So originally the Olympics was on their mind, and they see a survey about the Olympics, and people have strong feelings about the Olympics. Obviously, people are very passionate, which they should be, about the Olympics. So they see a survey, that gets their attention and kind of locks them in, and then they go on through to an offer. So that's that's one of my biggest suggestions when your campaign's not converting, is you want to look at it. You know, did you not use a pre-lander? Was there not something there you could have done to make it convert a little bit better? Next, I'll say this to a lot of people. You know, I made a pre-lander, it didn't work. Well, did you split test it? Pre-landers convert very differently based on the type of device it's on, based on the type of operating system it's on. So you want to create several different types of pre-landers. So I want to start normally with at least 4 different angles, so 4 different shells of the pre-lander, meaning that I don't just have the same type of shell, the same type of HTML with different headlines and stuff. I have completely different shells for my offers, So they actually view differently with my call to actions in different places, and one's less image heavy, and all kinds of different things, because I want to see which one is going to get the best click-through rate for my traffic. Because what I might see is one type of page I design, well, maybe the call to action falls below the fold on an Android. Well, if I'm getting all Android traffic from my country and my call to action falls below the fold, my click-through rate's going to be no good. So I try to benchmark this at 10%. When I make a pre-lander, I want at least 10% of the traffic that sees that pre-lander to go through to the offer. And then I kind of aim for 25%. I want to get at least 25%. That still means I'm losing a lot of my traffic, but I still want to aim for getting at least 25% in through to the offer, and most of the time much higher than that. But when I'm running an initial pre-lander test, it's 4 pre-landers, 4 different shells, and get at least 10%. And pre-landers that fall below that 10% benchmark, those are back to the drawing board. Those are out. And then I take those that are getting the 10% or the 25%, and then I keep optimizing them. I keep changing headlines and keep changing images and all that. It takes creativity and it takes patience. But other than that, it doesn't take some type of skill that you don't have. Everyone has the skill to make these type of pages or come up with these pages. And let's talk about how you do get them made, because this is another problem that I see of a lot of affiliates that struggle with. How do I make a pre-lander? Well, you don't have to be a coder, especially if you're just making a break page. Anyone can make a break page. It's just one headline. If you want to use a headline, and then it's an image. It's just one of the creatives with your link. So you don't have to know anything about programming, anything about HTML, and you can make a break page. A pre-lander, you can use programs like Adobe Dreamweaver, which is what you see is what you get editor. And you can piece together a web page, a landing page. It's pretty simple. The good thing I like about mobile is these pages aren't that big, so it's not like you have to develop out a full website. It's going to take all day. I mean, really, if you sat down one morning and said, well, today I'm going to learn how to make simple landing pages for a mobile device, and if you downloaded, just say, Adobe Dreamweaver, you're going to probably know at the end of the day how to make a simple landing page. If you just go and do the right research, you'll figure that out. But if not, there's always sources out there, such as Fiverr, where designers will make you a very simple shell that you could take that shell and copy and paste it over to Adobe Dreamweaver and start customizing it. That's kind of how I got started and learned HTML back in the late 90s. Is I would find a website, I would copy it into my editor, and then I would start playing around with moving stuff and adding different fonts and all kinds of stuff and headlines and tags, and that's how I learned how to make a full-fledged website, is by playing with it. Another good program to use is Adobe Photoshop, and it's very affordable nowadays. The Creative Cloud, it's $9 a month, $9.99 a month, and you can actually play around in that, and you can actually draw these pages out and then send those to a designer. So you don't worry about coding them, you just draw you a page in Photoshop and send it off to someone in Fiverr. And a lot of times, gosh, I've had people that cut and HTML pages for me for next to nothing, because it's very easy for them. Adobe will actually even do that for you, but that's a whole nother webinar in itself, how to use Adobe to cut out an HTML landing page. Okay, so we're kind of approaching the 1 hour mark, so I want to go over a couple affiliate-friendly traffic sources that I promised. I promised 5 of them here, different ones we kind of highlighted, and these are ones that you could hop on this evening and start working with. Once again, I recommend going through, meeting the reps, reviewing their terms, making sure that when you create a campaign that you comply with the rules and stuff. But a display one, an example would be AdCache. They allow for affiliate offers to be direct linked on there for display traffic, and you can also make your pre-landers. Redirect, we talked about this one earlier, and that's Tonic. It's formerly DNTX.com, but Tonic.com is where you can go get some redirect traffic. Tonic also has a lot of mobile pop traffic, so a lot of volume there. So that's a source that you may want to check out. For your interstitial ads, AdFly. ADF.ly, AdFly is a good one, and the cool thing about them is they actually publish their CPM rates on their advertising page on their site. So you can go there and you can go look at their rate card and say, well, do I have offers, or can I make the right decision before you even go deposit any funds into it and get started. Pop, I'm just going to mention Propeller Ads. It's a great source with a ton of volume. So you can be very successful there because they have a lot of volume. You have to kind of be smart. You have to remember what we talked about when you're going into your campaigns. You know, if you're just going to if you just plan on taking your offer link and throwing up a campaign on Propeller, it's probably not going to work because of so much volume. So you want to either make a funnel or make a pre-lander or do something else to really get users engaged and converting. Push traffic, air push is the big one. Lead bolt's another one. So there's 6 affiliate-friendly traffic sources. Some of the regulations have changed over the years, but nonetheless, they're still a really good network. Just make sure you talk to them and make sure that everything is all good and kosher. Finally, I want to talk about the RevMax Mastermind. At RevMax, we operate a private mastermind. So kind of tonight, we had a lot to cover in this 1 hour time frame. So if you kind of enjoyed how we presented this information, I go through each one of these topics in a lot more detail inside the mastermind because it allows me an opportunity to really get down and talk about it. So this is something we do that's unique at RevMax because mobile traffic is so new. One thing I found over the last couple of years, several years, is that affiliates, they just don't know what to do. They don't know how to begin with mobile traffic. So that's why I wanted to create a mastermind. It's so people will learn the right way how to promote campaigns and how to create them. And this leads for a much better compliancy because we see people that do things that are uncompliant because they just did not know what they should and shouldn't do. So we cover from beginning to expert inside the RevMax Mastermind. I mean, there's some folks in there that's never ran a click of traffic and they're just learning, and there's others that have made a lot of money from mobile. And so the cool thing about that is we're forming this community with people that media buyers and like-minded individuals and entrepreneurs that kind of all work together. We also have a follow-along section inside the Mastermind where we even have experienced affiliates that will just put up a follow-along so you can kind of watch how their process is, and you can see input from myself and our entire team, how we kind of suggest to optimize and get campaigns going, and we kind of help out. So that's just a couple benefits of the Mastermind if that's something that you are interested in. I do want to highlight the prices of the Mastermind because I do feel like that's important. I would like to do the Mastermind for free if I could, but I can't because I would lose exclusivity. I want this information that that we give out and this community we form, I want it to be kept inside the Mastermind. You know, I want us to all work together and use the information together. If I just made this a free forum, then I'd make a lot more competition for everyone, and we would just have people that were tire kickers or not really serious. So we charge $129 a month membership due. And that's really, that's a good rate, in my opinion, for what you can make with mobile and what we offer. I am offering a special for this webinar where it's $99 a month, and it's billed quarterly. The reason why we do this is I don't feel like in 1 month you can really get the full benefit of the Mastermind. If you're coming in and you think that, and just like what I said at the beginning of this webinar, if you come into the Mastermind and you think that you're just going to read a post or watch one video or just do one thing and then immediately have success, well, and you're kind of mistaking how things work. It's a process of taking things you learn and trial and error and testing and working together to actually find that success. So that's why I've got this special, but I made this special billed quarterly because what I didn't want was a bunch of people running in at $99 a month and just coming in and just not really being active. I'm not looking to have a tremendous mastermind here. I'm looking to keep it exclusive and keep people in it. If you want to join at the monthly rate, you're more than welcome to. You can cancel at any time. Like I said, I just don't think you can get the full value out of the mastermind in 1 month. I really think it's a 3-month process to, if you're going to get that going or not. So you can go to mobymastery.com and sign up for the monthly rate. If you want the special that is billed quarterly, it's billed every 3 months, you can go to RevMax.com/webinar in your browser, and you can sign up for that special. And that's just going to be, while we have slots. I'm not going to, as the mastermind develops and stuff, and we get people that come in, we're going to be selective on how long we keep it open because I really want to work with people. I don't want to have something that's just out there and creative, and it's not really where people all work together and engaged and participating. I don't want a bunch of people that just kind of sign up for it and don't really work together, because that's not the purpose of the mastermind. The purpose of the mastermind is to have this community where we kind of all work together, we all adapt adapt to these changes that happen in the mobile industry that happen every day, and we go from there. So if that's something that interests you, feel free to check us out. You don't have to be a member of the Mastermind to be an affiliate or to be a media buyer at RevMax.com, but if you do need extra help, that is a good starting point. But if you know your stuff and you just want offers to run, go sign up at RevMax.com, and we'll get you the offers, and we're more than happy to work with you. We just want to make sure if you're coming in without the Mastermind, we just we expect you to have experience, and we do expect you to have your traffic live within 30 days, because dormant accounts obviously aren't good just to sit on the platform. It's a security risk. So I'm looking through here, I'm not seeing too many questions. So if anyone has anything, feel free to ask. I see one here, just 1 second here while I read it. Yes, that's the question is on a break page. It's just taking the creative for an offer or a landing page and adding it, maybe adding some text to the page. Yeah, it's all it's doing is breaking up the traffic, and so you're not just sending it to an offer, because if you're just sending it right to your offer, you can't optimize it, or you don't know, because the advertiser or the vendor, they have control over that page. You don't, so you don't know if they're engaged in it or not. So yeah, you can. You create your break page of just the with just the banner, and then that allows you to break it up, because you can see if people click on that banner or not, if they're engaged, or if they're actually going to even have a chance at converting. I have a feeling that a lot of people that buy pop and redirect traffic, and they send all this traffic to the offers, and they say, well, it just doesn't work. Well, I have a feeling that people weren't even looking at it because it just wasn't appealing to them. So a break page allows you to you don't have to spend a bunch of money to guess within your first $5 to spend. If the CPM's $10, $5 is going to give you 500 views. Out of 500 views, if you don't have at least 20 people or 30 people for that matter click through, well, you know that something's not working there. So there's no use to keep spending and testing and all that. That doesn't make sense. Amazing webinar. Thank you for the compliments. I do appreciate that. We can talk about fraudulent and bot clicks on a completely, that's a whole nother webinar in itself, because we do see fraud traffic that comes through mobile and bots that click stuff, and that's the unfortunate part. But using a good tracking software, you can kind of analyze IP addresses, and especially if you're using these break pages, a lot of times you can watch and you can see the bounce rate of it if it's really high. So there's a couple ways that you can kind of combat that. But some of these affiliate-friendly traffic sources, if you come to them and you have problems with that, a lot of them might tell you to get lost. So you want to try to make it work, and try to make your conversion flow so well and your ROI so high that you can kind of combat any click loss or any bot traffic that you may get. It's an unfortunate thing. It's always going to be out there. Next question is on a Prelander for like a credit card trial. How would you approach it? Okay, so if you have a credit card trial offer, your Prelander, you're trying to warm up whatever you're selling. So a lot of times we see people that will use, they'll get testimonials from someone that's already bought the product, whatever it may be, and they'll use that, or maybe they'll have a video, or maybe they'll have a story. The advertorial-based angle works really good, even on mobile, because it can condense down, and you can create a landing page where it talks about that product being successful. You just want to make sure all those claims are substantial, and it works out. So a lot of times, if you have a credit card trial offer and you're trying to make a Prelander, get with the network that provides the offer and have them ask their advertiser to give you materials to make a Prelander. And also, a lot of times, if your network, if you work with us at RevMax, and I can say exactly, here's what you need to include on a Prelander for a trial offer to make it work well, because just linking out the offer probably won't work. Okay, so we've pretty much passed our time, so I don't want to keep everyone much longer than that. I want to thank everyone for joining us. Stay tuned to the RevMax.com/blog for more webinars, because we're going to have plenty more of these. And I'm also going to have the replay for this webinar up on the blog at RevMax.com. So once again, my name is Ryan Gray. I'm the CEO of RevMax. Look forward to working with everyone new that came on here, and also those that already working with us that came on. Thanks so much for your support. We certainly do appreciate it, and we look forward to scaling up with you. Have a great evening, everyone.